everyone, it's Nadia from YARNutopia. Today we are making this fabulous Razzle Dazzle hat, and it has a big giant fuzzy pom on the top. This is such a fun project. It's quick, easy, you can get it done in a couple hours. We are using a very chunky yarn and a very big crochet hook, so it's going to be a really quick project for your weekend. So I'll get into the supplies we need, and then I'll get into some frequently asked questions about sizing if you want to make this smaller or bigger, and then we'll get into making this hat. So big thank you to Red Heart Yarns for providing today's yarn for this project. This is collage yarn, and the specific color I am using today is called Circus. You're going to need 2 full skeins of this yarn. Okay, this yarn comes in 55 yard balls, so you'll need 2 of them. And we're going to be working with 2 strands of yarn at the same time and making an adult size hat, this one right here that you see. So we are going to be using 2 strands at the same time for the main part of the hat, but then around the brim here we are just using 1 strand, and I'll show you that later. You're also going to need a pom. These fuzzy poms I got on Amazon. I will put a link in the description of this video. You can see here is a little loop that you can stick your yarn through and sew it to the top of your hat. So it's really nice. They come in all different colors. So I am going to be using this green one today. On this hat right here I have a pink one attached. So you can use any of these. There's it comes in an assortment of these poms, and then you can choose any color you want for the top of your hat. We are using a 12mm crochet hook today. This hook I got on Etsy. Actually, Nate bought this one for me for the holidays one year. So I'll put a link in the description of this video where you can get a nice wooden hook like this, and this is a 12mm hook. If you want to go up to a 13mm hook, you can, because the 12mm is going to give you nice tight stitches like you see in this hat here. They're pretty tight stitches, which will be nice and warm for the winter season. Also, you're going to need a scissors and a yarn needle just to cut yarn, sew in some ends. And I do have a measure tape here for measuring, because if you want to make different sizes, this hat actually goes off of measurements. So I'll put in the notes section of the written pattern measurements for different sizes, and then you can calculate your stitches to be that amount. So for the height of the hat, this specific hat is about 11 inches, and this is going to actually be a little bit of a slouchier hat. If you want it to be, and you can like roll up this brim here to make it not slouchy, to be about the 10-inch 9-inch mark there, but I want it to be a little bit slouchy, so I'm gonna roll that down and have it be the 11 inches, and that's for an adult size. And then around the hat, my head is about 21-22 inches around, so we want it to be stretched around here, and it comes to be about 11 inches across, which around would be double that, so that's 22 inches around. So that will be perfect for my head. But we're going to be working in rows like this, so we're going to be working across here, so the length of my piece will be the 22 inches. And then we're going to fold it in half and then seam up the back. So that's how this is going to be made. So you can make it shorter for a smaller head. And I'll put those measurements of the circumference. The circumference of the head will be the length of your piece, and I'll put that all in the notes section of the pattern. You can get the free written pattern on YARNutopia.com. All the links are in the description of this video. You can check out my Facebook, Instagram, and Snapchat me. I'm YARNutopia on Snapchat. So before we start, just check out that link in the description of this video, all the information in there and where to get all these supplies. Big thank you to Red Heart Yarns for providing the yarn. Big thank you to my dad back there who's videotaping this whole project and staying with us, and big thank you to you for watching. So let's now continue, and we will make this Razzle Dazzle hat. Alright, so we're going to start out with 2 strands of yarn here. So I have 2 skeins here. I'm just using 1 strand from each skein of yarn, and we're going to put the 2 strands together, and we're going to use them as one. And we're going to put the short end over the long end. Okay, just like that, and then fold this down, we're making a slip knot, and then pull the long end through that loop. Okay, if you need help with a slip knot, you can find other video tutorials online to show you how to make a slip knot. There it is right there. Insert your hook into that loop and pull tight. Okay, just like that. Perfect. Now for my hat, I am going to chain 16. You can chain any height that you need. So if you want the 11-inch, or I'm sorry, 10-inch hat that I made, you can make your chain 10 inches long, or you can make it however long you want. If you're making a child's hat, probably just a 5-inch or a 6-inch type. So just yarning over and pulling through, and that is a chain. So 1, 2, yarn over, pull through. Here's 3, yarn over, pull through. There's 4. I won't make you watch me chain 16, so just chain 16, or the amount that you want your height of your hat to be from the crown to your forehead, how long you want your hat to be, and I will meet you up when I have my 16 chains. Alright, here's my chain of 16. It's just like this. So now we can go on to row 1. So what we're going to do is slip stitch in the second chain from the hook. So the loop on the hook doesn't count as a chain, so we're going to count 1 and then 2. This is the second chain. And what I personally like to do is, you can see our chains look like this. Okay, these are our chains. We're going to turn this toward us like this, and you can see these back ridges. This is a back ridge. Right here is a back ridge, back ridge, back ridge. Okay, I'm gonna, work into the back ridges here. So in this is the first chain from the hook, and this is the second chain. So I'm gonna turn this toward me, go into that chain, just like that, then yarn over and pull through that chain, and pull through the loop on your hook, but do not pull tight, okay, just like that. We are going to be working into that slip stitch later. And we're going to slip stitch into the next 2 chains. So go into this next chain right here, and then yarn over and pull through that chain and pull through the loop on your hook. Just like that. Okay, kind of pull this up a little bit. Leave this so it's a little bit looser, so you will be able to get your hook through that stitch later. And this next one as well. Go in, yarn over, pull through, and pull through. Okay, so we have 3 slip stitches in a row. And now the rest of the stitches on your piece are going to be half double crochets. So a half double crochet, we're going to yarn over, go into this next chain right here, then yarn over and pull through the chain, just like that. So we have 3 loops on our hook. If you need to pull this up a little to give yourself some slack, and then yarn over and pull through all of the loops on your hook. That is a half double crochet. So these next 12 chains will have a half double crochet in them. So that was 1, so yarn over, go into the next chain, then yarn over and pull that through, and then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. And that's a half double crochet. So I'm just going to do that in the rest of the chains all the way across here. There should be 12 half double crochet stitches then. And then those 3 slip stitches in the front here. So these will be all skinny here, and these will be taller over here, and that's exactly what we want. So I'm going to do that all the way across, and then once I'm finished with row 1, I will meet you up. We'll go on to row 2. Alright, just finishing up row 1 here, half double crocheting in this last chain. So this is what your work should look like. Okay, 12 half double crochets in that row, and then these 3 slip stitches here. So now going on to row 2, we are going to chain up 1. So yarn over, yarn over, pull through, and then turn your work around like this. Okay. And now what we're actually going to do, instead of working into the stitch up here, okay, we're actually going to work in this 3rd loop right here. Okay, so on all these stitches, you'll be able to see there's this 3rd loop that's right here. Okay, on not this right here, it's this loop right here. Okay, not this slanted loop here, it's this one right here. So we're actually going to be working in these 3rd loops. They're called the 3rd loop of the half double crochet. Okay, so not this slanted one right here. You can kind of see the slanted one right here. It's not this. It's actually right here. So if you look at your stitches, if you turn your work towards you a little bit, and you can see these little side V looking stitches right below it, okay, right there is where you have to go. Okay, so that's what we're going to do, is all the way across these first 12 stitches, or each half double crochet, we're going to half double crochet into those. So yarn over, go into this third loop from underneath, okay, like this. So the front of your work, you can see your stitch right there. Okay, there's your stitch. We're going into the third loop of that. Yarn over and pull it through. Okay, and then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. Just like that. So this next one right here, so ignore this line right here. Okay, ignore this. This is not what you're working in. You're going to work in here, right in this line. Okay, so yarn over, go from underneath that loop right there, then yarn over and pull it through that, and then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. Okay, and if you flip this over, you can see your stitches. Here's your first stitch, here's your second stitch. Okay, there's your chain up 1. So there's your 2 stitches there. So this next one right here, this is the stitch right there. We're going to go right below it, right in this loop right here. Okay, so yarn over, go underneath that, then yarn over, pull through, and then yarn over and pull through all 3. So I'm going to do that for the first 12 stitches. Each half double crochet stitch is going to be worked into the third loop of this half double crochet stitch right here, just like that. So in the first 12, and then when we get to those last 3 stitches, I'll meet you up because we'll slip stitch in those last 3 stitches. Alright, once you half double crochet in those third loops, you'll see that you do not see the stitches, but when you flip your work over, you see this ridge here that almost looks like a knit stitch. It looks really cool. So now, going back here, finishing row 2, you still have these 3 stitches left. Okay, this slip stitch, and slip stitch. We are going to go into the actual stitch, into the slip stitch, and we're going to slip stitch in there. So yarn over, pull through, and pull through. Okay, don't pull too tight, remember. So pull this up a little bit, go into the next stitch right there, yarn over and pull through, and pull through the loop on your hook. Okay, and again, last one right here. And then we can go on to row 3. So row 3 is basically the opposite of what we did, just working back. So we're going to chain up 1, okay, turn the work around, okay, and we're just going to slip stitch in the first 3 stitches. So go into this very first stitch right there, yarn over, pull through, and through. This hat is going to be so warm. Going into the next stitch here, yarn over, pull through, and this third stitch right here, slip stitch in there. Okay, once you've slip stitched into the first 3 stitches, we're going to do what we did for the last row. We're just going to work in these third loops. Okay, so you can see here's your stitch, right below it, right here is the loop. We're going to work in that loop. This is the stitch, so right below it, this loop right here, next stitch right there. So we're just going to half double crochet into the third loop of your half double crochet, just like I showed you in the previous row. But we're ending now with these half double crochets. We start row 3 with slip stitches and end it with these half double crochets, working in the third loops of these half double crochet stitches. So you're going to get this ribbing effect. You can see here that this ribbing here, and then it's going to be flat here. But on this side, you can see the ribbing effect is created there. Okay? So we're just going to finish off this row just doing these half double crochets in the third loop. And then once I'm finished with row 3, I'll meet you up at the end of this row. Alright, just finishing up row 3 here. So now the rest of the pattern is just repeating rows 2 and 3 for however big you need your hat to be. So at this point, I'll leave you on your own. You're going to repeat rows 2, oh sorry, this is row 2 here, row 2 and row 3. So if you need to, rewind this and see what I did for rows 2 and 3 and make it as wide as you need to. I am going to do rows 4 through 24, repeating rows 2 and 3. Okay, so just chain up 1, turn your work, and the first 12 stitches are half double crochet in the 3rd loop, and then the last 3 stitches are a slip stitch, and then the next row is the slip stitch in the first 3 stitches, and then a half double crochet in the 3rd loop of every each stitch across. So it's actually this hat is quite similar to what I did for the Shred the Slopes hat. We did actually herringbone half double crochet in that one, but it's very similar how the creation of it. We're working in rows and then we're going to seam it up the back. So once I finish row 24, I'll meet you up because we are going to then fasten off with a really long tail and we're going to sew this piece up. Now if you want to make smaller sizes, what you would just need to do is measure across. This would be the width of your hat, okay? So the height we already created because we did our foundation chain. So if your hat is, you know, half the size, if you're making a baby hat and it's about half the size or a little bit smaller, you want your hat width then to be smaller as well. So for a toddler, it's about 18 inches. So you would only have to make this to be about 9 inches. So just repeat rows 2 and 3 to make this 9 inches, or I'm sorry, 18 inches. It would be 18 inches because then when we fold it in half, it would be 9 inches across. So 18 inches is for a toddler, child size. About, I would say 15 inches would be for a baby, a small toddler, and then you know, an infant is much smaller, almost like 12 or 13 inches around. So that's for a baby. But I'll have all that in the notes section, so you can just check that out. For circumference, it will be the circumference is your length here. So I'm just going to continue this to make mine 22 inches. Mine's going to be about 22 inches in length, and that will get me to row 24. Once I'm finished with row 24, I will meet you up and we will go on to the next step together. Alright, I just finished row 24, so this is what your piece should look like. It's kind of fanning out like this, which is perfect. So I'll measure this up for you real quick so you can see that it is about 22 inches, so a little less, maybe 21.5 inches across here. So that's how you should measure your hat. Now that it will fit around me, because what we're going to do is fold this in half, and there is the sort of how it's gonna look. So if you need a smaller width, if you're making like a teen hat or a child or even a toddler size hat, you don't have to go as many rows, and you can fold this in half and like have that as your circumference. So you can do less rows or whatever. So this is how it's going to fit around the forehead, and then this is the top of the hat up here where the slip stitches are. So that's how the hat is made. And you can see these nice ribbing little areas here. This looks knit. It looks really fabulous. So really liking it a lot so far. So you want to end on a repeat of row 2 though. So you want to end with, a repeat of row 3. We're going to end on a repeat of row 3, ending with the slip stitches here. Okay, so just make sure you're doing that. Or I don't know why I'm screwing this up. We're ending with the half double crochets. Sorry guys, we're ending at the bottom of the hat. Okay, so do a repeat of row 3, which is ending with the 12 half double crochets in the end there. So we're ending at the bottom of the hat. We're going to fasten this part off, so let's chain 1. We're going to cut our yarn really long for sewing. So I'm just going to do a random amount of yarn here. That's a lot. Okay, just cut that yarn and then just continue to pull it through that chain 1. and that fastens off your work, and that's secure, so it's not going to unravel or anything. We're good. Now what we're going to do is sew this closed. So you can decide where you want your outside or inside to be. Just fold this over, and that looks good. Okay. So now we need to grab our yarn needle. I don't know where I put it. There it is. And I'm going to yarn this needle, and then I'll be back and we will attach this seam. We'll seam this up here. Alright, so we're going to fold this in half once you have your yarn needle yarned here. I lost my really large needle, so it was really difficult to get this chunky yarn in the smaller needle, so just don't look at this. So what we're going to do is sew this closed. So we're going to do a mattress stitch, but what we're going to do is also work into these third loops on this piece. So our strand that we cut is on this side here, okay? And then you can see your little stragglers where you started. So this is our foundation row, and this is our last row, okay? So what we're going to do is hold our piece like this, and we're going to go in from the inside out this foundation row chain, this first chain here. So let's go through the inside to the outside on this first stitch here, okay? And just pull. Perfect. Now what we're going to do is work through the third loop of this first stitch down here. And if you can see that right under here, okay, so here's our very last stitch right there. This is our chain one, and we pulled it through there. So right below this stitch right here is the third loop. So we're going to go up into that, okay, and just pull. And if you have a bigger needle, that's probably better, because this little one is a little difficult to use. But I lost mine. I don't know where I put it. Okay, so just pull that through and pull these tight then. Okay, and then we're just going to do that all the way up this piece here. So we're going to go into the actual stitch of this foundation chain right here, and then pull both strands there, and then this next stitch right here, this third loop right under here, we're going to go up into that and pull. Okay, so just make sure each stitch is coordinating with the next stitch. Okay, so this third stitch right here on this side, pull that through, and then this third stitch right here in this third loop right there. Okay, I'm not going to make you watch me do the whole thing, so just sew up this piece, and once I get to the last 3 stitches of the slip stitches, I'll meet you up because I'll show you how to sew those pieces together, and then we will have to cinch the top closed next. Alright, once you're on the last 3 stitches, we don't have to go through any third loop because the slip stitches don't have a third loop. So we're just going to do through this stitch here on this side, from the inside to the outside. We're just going to continue doing the mattress stitch, but just, oops, I got caught. We're just going into the stitch itself. So through this one, and then this one, then back to this one on this side, and then this one. You could even use a crochet hook to kind of guide these through too, because these spaces are quite large. I mean, I can stick my fingers in them. I've been kind of doing that, like guiding my yarn through. Okay, just 2 more stitches left here. This side. And our last stitch here. But now we have a big giant hole on the top of our hat, so we have to cinch that closed. But the first thing we have to do is tie this off in a knot. So let me pull this last stitch through here. There we go. Okay, so you want to kind of stretch this out and make it look good. Okay, you can see the seam right up there. Looks good. That'll be the back of the hat, and you can even flip this inside out and you really can't even tell on that side either. So that's the back of the hat. So now what we're going to do is tie this off in a knot. So I'm just going to go around a couple of stitches here. And if you can't pull this through, you can always grab a pliers and pull. Okay, but keep your finger in this loop here. Okay, then just come back through the loop with that yarn, and then pull tight. That way it's tied off in a knot, and that way when you cinch this closed and you pull your yarn, it's not going to pull up the seam or anything. It's just going to pull this closed. Okay, and you could do that once or twice, totally up to you. So now to close this top here, we are going to just go around the edge, just kind of in and out, and in and out. Okay, and I'm going to grab my pliers because I went through a few stitches here. Ooh. Careful! Careful with that needle! And your stitches. You can guide it through. There we go. This yarn is so bulky that just gets through all these little strands. It's a pretty yarn, and it's really soft and extremely warm. There we go. I just got caught on a little piece there. Sorry about that. Okay. So we're just going to go in and out. I'll do it one at a time here. So we're going to go in to the hat, and then out the very next row. Okay, so we're just going around the rim, and you can already see it starting to cinch in right here because I pulled this tight. So you can see that cinched in. So I'm just going to go around this little rim here and cinch that closed. And then once that's cinched closed, I'll meet you up and we will go on to the next step. Alright, so once your top is all sewn closed and cinched tight, this is what it should look like. We're just going to go through one stitch here and we're going to tie this off in a knot, kind of like how I showed you earlier when we tied off the side seam knot. We're just going to go through a couple stitches, come back through, and go through that loop. And then pull tight, just like that. Okay. And this is the inside of the hat, so we're going to trim this shorter, put this inside out, just like that. Awesome. So we're not yet done yet. We have to do the brim here around this piece. So grab one strand of yarn this time. We're not going to be working with two strands, just one strand. And let me grab my yarn here. There we go. And grab your crochet hook, turn this upside down like this, so you're looking at the brim of your hat, and we are going to attach our yarn at the back here where our slip knot is, just anywhere really. Attach your yarn. Okay, so just hook that on. One strand is a little bit easier, especially when using this 12mm hook. So around the brim we are going to chain up one, and we're going to single crochet evenly. I'm going to single crochet 25. Just do the amount of rows you did plus another stitch. So I did 24 rows on my piece, so I'm going to do 25 single crochets. So just go in, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. So if you did 18 rows, do 19 stitches, etc. So just go in wherever your hook fits. Doesn't fit there. I'm going to go right in here. Then yarn over and pull it through. Okay, you can see I'm working over the top of these stragglers as well. and then yarn over and pull through 2 loops. So we're just single crocheting for round 1 of the brim. So go in wherever it fits, yarn over, pull through, yarn over and pull through 2. And if you come up with a few more stitches or a few less stitches, that's okay too. You just want to make sure that this edge gets cleaned up pretty nicely. So I'm going to single crochet 25 around just wherever my hook fits, and then once I've finished round 1, we'll go on to round 2 of the brim. Alright, when you single crochet around, I did 24 stitches around. You can, actually I might have done 25 because there's this one right here. So, well, anyway, 24 or 25 stitches, just single crochet around. Let's slip stitch, so go into the very first single crochet, yarn over, pull through, and pull through. Just like that. And then, going on to round 2, we are going to chain up 3, 1, 2, and 3. That's going to count as our first double crochet of this round, so don't work in this first stitch here. We're going to hop to this next stitch right here, and we are going to double crochet. So yarn over, go in, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and then yarn over and pull through 2 loops. Okay, that is a double crochet. So we're just going to double crochet into every stitch around, just like that. So yarn over, go into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and just continue. So I'm just going to double crochet into every stitch, and then I'll meet you up for our last round of our brim. Alright, when you're finished with round 2, we're just going to slip stitch to this beginning chain up 3 right here. So go in to that chain up 3, yarn over, pull through, and pull through. And now for round 3 of the brim, we're just going to chain up 2. So yarn over, pull through 1 and 2. And we're going to front post double crochet around this chain up 3 right below it. So yarn over, go on this side of the post, around the post, yarn over and pull through, and then yarn over and pull through 2 loops, and then yarn over and pull through 2 loops. And that's a front post double crochet. On this next stitch, we are going to back post double crochet. So yarn over, go from behind your work around the post and then back to the back there. Yarn over and pull that through. Okay, just like that. And then yarn over and pull through 2 loops, and yarn over and pull through 2 loops. Okay, that's a back post double crochet. So we're going to alternate these 2 stitches all the way around. So front post double crochet on the next stitch, and then back post double crochet on the next stitch, and then front post double crochet on the next stitch, and back post double crochet on the next, and just repeat that all the way around so you get this little like ribbing effect here. So I'm gonna do that all the way around, and then I'll meet you up and we'll fasten off. Alright, to finish, we are going to slip stitch into this first front post double crochet stitch. So yarn over, pull through and through, and then we can fasten this off. So let's chain 1, cut your yarn, pull that through, pull it tight, and since I lost my my big needle, I'm going to use a different crochet hook, and I'm going to actually just go underneath some of these loops here, just like this, and then pull this through on a crochet hook, because I don't know where I put my big needle. I need to search for it in the stacks and stacks of yarn that I have. So I'm just going to pull it through with a crochet hook, kind of stretch it out, maybe go back through here, just underneath some. But if you have a yarn needle, by all means, use your yarn needle to sew this end in. And sew in any ends that you have, and once you do have that done, we are going to add the pom on the top of our hat here. Let me get this. Obviously it's not easy. There we go. And then you can just cut any extra, stretch it out, make sure it's hidden and looks nice in the back there. Okay, so there's your hat. So if you don't want a pom, you're done. You have a lovely hat. But I, excuse me, have a pom here. And you can see at the bottom here, there's this loop. So these poms, you can make your own big giant pom and just have a big pom on the top. But I got these nice little fuzzy poms, fur poms. And at the bottom here, there's a loop, right like that. So what I'm going to do is take a piece of yarn and I'm going to feed it through this little loop here with a crochet hook. Okay, just like that. Awesome. Then what we're going to do is put it at the top of our hat where we want it, about right there. And we go into the hat with my crochet hook and pop through. I know you can't see what I'm doing here real quick, hang on. I'm feeling around for it so you can see here I'm popping through with my crochet hook at the top hole where we cinched that closed. And I'm going to take this yarn that I attached to the pom, just one side here on this side, and pull it through. And I'm sorry, I gotta kind of feel for it because I lost it there. Let's try again. I know it's really hard to see, especially on camera. Let's see here. Okay, go through here. Pull this through into the hat. There we go, got it. Okay, once that side is in, you can position it where you want it, and then grab the other side. And I wonder if I could just feel it through with my fingers, because these stitches are so big. There we go. So pull that through, just like that. Okay, so this is attached just like that. So now, going to the inside of the hat, we have these two strands. And what we're going to do is just tie them in a knot. And we're going to tie it 3 times to secure that. And then all you have to do is just cut this and sew in these 2 ends, and you have your pom on the top of your hat. It looks so fabulous. Awesome. So then you can just kind of make sure all your ends are sewn in and hidden. Make sure your hat looks good, and there it is. The Razzle Dazzle hat is complete. It's so bright and beautiful, and I hope you enjoyed making this piece with me today. Make sure to share your photos on Facebook and Instagram and hashtag YARNutopia so I can see your hats. And make sure to follow me on all social media as well, and check out the website. And leave a comment if you liked this video, thumbs up, and thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for Red Heart for the yarn. Big thank you to my dad back there for filming this whole project with us, and for the photography. The pictures are super fabulous, so make sure you check those out in the blog. And big, huge thank you to you for watching every time we post a video. Make sure to subscribe to our channel here on YouTube. Until next time, happy hooking!